Have you ever wondered why Voldemort used Nagini to kill Professor Snape instead of using the Avada Kedavra curse? Voldemort was actively using the Elder Wand, but he believed that both Snape was its true master and that it would refuse to strike him directly, as indeed it did later refuse to kill its true master Harry Potter, and instead rebounded and killed the Dark Lord himself. Voldemort was trying to kill Snape indirectly by using the wand to maneuver Nagini's cage in such a way that Severus would be trapped inside. The most impressive part of this entire exchange is that Snape could have at any moment told the Dark Lord that Dumbledore was disarmed prior to being killed. Instead, Severus allowed the Dark Lord to go on falsely believing that he was the true master of the Elder Wand. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. When Voldemort is discovering that Harry is destroying his Horcruxes, why doesn't he just make more? It's clear that Voldemort was very specific about how many Horcruxes he wanted to make. 7 is the most powerful magical number, so Voldemort was committed to splitting the soul into 7 pieces, no more and no less. It should also be noted that making a Horcrux is painful. Voldemort had already fragmented his soul into 8 parts. It's possible that his body might not survive if he decided to make another. We also don't know how long or how intense the spell work is to make a Horcrux. Perhaps Voldemort didn't have time and felt his energies were best spent in preserving Nagini and destroying Harry Potter. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Why didn't Voldemort's soul split every time he cast the killing curse? Well, according to Professor Slughorn, it actually did. The soul is split by an act of evil. Therefore, committing murder does rip the soul apart. This allows the wizard who is intent upon creating a Horcrux to use the damage to his advantage. So each time Voldemort uses Avada Kedavra, his soul is becoming more and more unstable, but he only capitalizes on this when he wants to create a Horcrux. Although we do learn that it's possible to create an accidental Horcrux, if the conditions are just right. Slughorn's explanation has always been that any wizard who commits murder tears apart his soul. The act of creating a Horcrux is entirely separate, and not a requirement to damage one's soul. In other words, you have to go beyond murder to make a Horcrux, but not to actually tear the soul. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. What if Voldemort didn't use the Elder Wand in his final duel with Harry? Would that have made a difference? Harry literally gives Voldemort one last chance by warning the Dark Lord that he's actually using the Elder Wand against its true master. So what if Voldemort would have ditched the Elder Wand and pulled out his own wand, or any other wand to duel Harry Potter? Would that have worked? During the final duel, Harry no longer has the protection of his old wand. He also doesn't actually possess the Elder Wand, even though he's its master. Yet the answer is still no. Harry Potter is protected from Voldemort in numerous ways. Harry's blood is a vessel of his mother's sacrifice. By using Harry's blood, Voldemort perpetuated the power of Lily's love and sacrifice in himself. Essentially, he became Harry's light side Horcrux. Voldemort might have been able to use another wand to hurt, impede, or capture Harry, but again, probably not. Harry's own sacrificial magic was working against Voldemort and protecting his friends at Hogwarts. So really, there was no way for Voldemort to win, unless they got into a wrestling match and Voldemort took Malfoy's wand by force, thus truly becoming the master of the Elder Wand, right? No, back to sacrificial magic. Have you ever wondered why Voldemort, despite his immense power, never killed Dumbledore himself? Voldemort's hatred for Dumbledore started early. As an orphan child, young Tom Riddle was corrected by Dumbledore, the first person with the power to do so. This correction, combined with Dumbledore's refusal to be charmed by Tom's manipulative nature, sparked a deep resentment. Tom could fool everyone except Dumbledore, who saw through his facade. This fueled Voldemort's determination to surpass Dumbledore himself, yet he could never really shake off the doubt that Dumbledore had instilled in him. This doubt was the first reason that Voldemort hesitated to confront Dumbledore directly. Despite his Horcruxes and supposed immortality, Voldemort feared that he might not be able to defeat Dumbledore in a direct duel. The second reason was strategic. Voldemort assigned the task of killing Dumbledore to Draco Malfoy, not only to punish Lucius Malfoy, but also to create a situation where he could benefit regardless of the outcome. If Draco succeeded, Voldemort would be rid of Dumbledore. If Draco failed, Voldemort would have an excuse to kill Draco. In the end, Voldemort's hesitation and strategic thinking reveal a complex interplay of fear, doubt, and manipulation. Why did Lord Voldemort flee to Albania? After Voldemort was destroyed by his own rebounding Avada Kedavra curse, he is left as nothing more than a shade, a spirit, less than a ghost. Of all the places he could go, he travels to a remote Albanian forest, the same forest where he found the lost diadem of Ravenclaw. The diadem is no longer hidden in the Albanian forest. Voldemort had removed it years prior, and after turning it into a Horcrux, he hid it in the Room of Requirement. So why did he go back there? The most obvious reason is because this forest was so remote, and Voldemort himself was in a weakened state. He hadn't thought this far ahead. Although his spirit lingered on, he needed outside intervention to regain his physical body, which he found when Professor Quirrell came looking for him. Curiously, after their failed attempt to steal the Sorcerer's Stone, he goes back to the same forest in Albania. Is there something more to this particular forest? Why not just travel to Malfoy Manor, or visit old Professor Slughorn? Let me know what you think, leave a comment, and follow for more Harry Potter content. Did the effects of Merope's love potion enhance Tom Riddle Jr.'s ability to charm others? During his time at Hogwarts, Tom Riddle was charming, admired, sought after, and even obsessed over. The books state that his ability to charm others and enthrall his classmates and professors comes to him naturally. He admits as much to Harry. Quote, "I've always been able to charm the people I needed." Dumbledore notes that, quote, "Nearly all were most favorably impressed by him. However, he had the sense to never try and charm me as he had charmed so many of my colleagues. Even Headmaster Dippet was very fond of Voldemort and convinced of his honesty. Hepzibah Smith was obsessed with young Tom Riddle. The Dark Lord's natural ability to charm others is interesting. His charm doesn't carry the same potency as a love potion might, but it does seem to blind even his professors from seeing the darkness within. J.K. Rowling has noted symbolic significance between Voldemort's nature and the way in which he was conceived. So what do you think? Is it just his good looks, his talent, and power? What makes Tom Riddle so charming? Why did Voldemort leave Professor Slughorn alive? Clearly, Professor Slughorn knew a lot about Tom Riddle's interest in Horcruxes, and he knew that Tom, aka Lord Voldemort, had killed several people. They have an in-depth conversation about the very dark art of Horcruxes. Horcruxes are created by splitting the soul and concealing a portion of it inside of an object. Professor Dumbledore knew that Horace Slughorn had turned over an altered memory about information he passed to you-know-who. Did Voldemort leave him alone because he found out that Horace had altered the memory? Perhaps Voldemort thought this was some form of loyalty. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Why did Grindelwald lie to Lord Voldemort? Was it out of spite? Was it for his own redemption? Or was it for Dumbledore himself? During the Battle of Seven Potters, Voldemort uses Lucius Malfoy's wand to attack Harry. Harry's wand had a kinship to Voldemort's own wand, and was able to defend its owner by regurgitating some of the Dark Lord's own magic. This caused Voldemort to seek the Elder Wand. Ollivander speculated that Grindelwald was the last known possessor of the wand. Voldemort questions Grindelwald in an attempt to locate the Wand of Destiny, but instead of telling him that Dumbledore was the true master of the Elder Wand, he lies and pretends that he had never had it. It was said that Grindelwald showed remorse in later years. Dumbledore suggests that the lie to Voldemort might have been Grindelwald's attempt to make amends. Harry indicates that it might have been more personal than that. Perhaps he was trying to prevent the Dark Lord from defiling Albus Dumbledore's final resting place. This thought brought the headmaster to tears. What do you think? Be sure to follow our podcast for more Harry Potter content. Why does a wand containing Fawkes' tail feather choose Lord Voldemort? Much of Fawkes' origins are unknown, but at some point prior to 1938, two of his tail feathers were acquired by Ollivander, the wand maker. They were fashioned into the cores of two wands, one made from yew wood and the other made from hollywood. As we know, the yew wand went to Tom Riddle and the holly wand went to Harry Potter. The wand chooses the wizard. So why would a wand containing a tail feather from Fawkes choose the darkest wizard of all time? Perhaps it is because he was still young Tom Riddle during the choosing. Phoenixes are known for their healing power, their immortality, and their super strength. Is it possible that the wand was drawn to Tom because he needed healing? He was fascinated with immortality and wanted to become the most powerful wizard of all time. Tom Riddle's wand becomes even more interesting when you consider how the yew wood's poison might have affected the phoenix feather's core. What do you think? Leave us a comment and follow for more Harry Potter content. Why wasn't Voldemort's body found after his attack on baby Harry? At the start of the series, Voldemort cast the killing curse at baby Harry, which rebounded back on Voldemort and destroyed his body. During the final duel between Harry and Voldemort, the killing curse again rebounds on Voldemort, but this time his body is not destroyed. So what's the difference maker? The killing curse takes your soul beyond the veil and leaves the physical body behind. But because of Voldemort's other Horcruxes, his soul was tethered to the land of the living, so it couldn't be taken beyond the veil. This caused an unusual backfiring which destroyed Voldemort's body and left his spirit to linger. Voldemort was successful in defying death. His body was nowhere to be found, which caused the Wizarding World to speculate that the Dark Lord lived on. Whereas at the end of the series, Voldemort was defeated and his body was found lifeless. Unless you're watching the movies. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Why couldn't Voldemort defeat Harry Potter during the Deathly Hallows in the Forbidden Forest? There are several things to consider here. Number one, Lord Voldemort chose to use Harry Potter's blood in the ritual that brought him back, thus extending the power of Lily's sacrifice. Number two, Harry was Voldemort's unintended Horcrux. Instead of the killing curse rebounding onto Voldemort himself, it separated the bit of Voldemort's soul from Harry. Number three, Harry Potter is the true master of the Elder Wand, which negates its ability or willingness to kill Harry. Number four, Harry Potter has all three of the Deathly Hallows. His sacrifice provided protection for those opposing Lord Voldemort, as evident by the Dark Lord's inability to touch, torture, or bind any of those who fought with Harry. Be sure to check out our podcast for more Harry Potter content. Who is more powerful, Voldemort or Grindelwald? Both of these wizards are extremely powerful and both have a history with Albus Dumbledore. It's well established that Dumbledore and Grindelwald were almost equals, both extremely gifted and brilliant wizards. So some individuals believe that Grindelwald in his prime would have defeated Voldemort. Yes, it would have been a well-fought battle, but Grindelwald would have come out as the winner. On the other hand, some believe that Voldemort knew more about the dark arts, and that he was a more aggressive, deadly duelist. Grindelwald was a political idealist, a leader, a strategist, a planner, some might even say a philosopher, whereas Voldemort was more single-minded and ruled with brute force. It's also interesting to note that when Voldemort dueled Dumbledore, Dumbledore was the master of the Elder Wand, but was unable to subdue the Dark Lord, unless that wasn't actually Dumbledore's plan. So if both wizards were in their prime, unaided by Hallows, who is more powerful? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. What exactly happened to Voldemort after he killed Lily Potter? Lily was given the choice to step aside. She refused and died to Voldemort's killing curse as expected. Voldemort was unaware that this had just triggered an ancient protection charm over baby Harry. When Voldemort cast his killing curse on Harry, the spell rebounded. It attempted to take Voldemort's soul beyond the veil, but was unable to because Voldemort had split and hidden portions of his soul into Horcruxes. This caused the killing curse to amplify and destroy Voldemort's physical body. At the same time, a piece of Voldemort's soul detached itself and entered Harry. Harry's lightning scar is where Voldemort's soul entered and continued to live on in Harry. Voldemort's spirit or soul lingers on and eventually retreats to the same Albanian forest where he found the lost diadem of Ravenclaw. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. What was Voldemort's, quote, one last hope for himself? After Voldemort attempted to kill Harry in the Forbidden Forest, Harry meets Dumbledore in his mind at King's Cross. The two have a discussion about his mother's protection enchantment. Dumbledore states his body keeps her sacrifice alive, and while that enchantment survives, so do you, and so does Voldemort's one last hope for himself. Having taken Harry's blood into himself, Voldemort is keeping alive Lily's protective power over Harry. Lily's sacrifice is a positive force that not only continues to tether Harry to life, but gives Voldemort one last chance at redemption. Ironically, he had just killed the portion of his soul that might have been redeemable. The Dark Lord has unknowingly put a few drops of goodness back inside himself. During their final duel, Harry calls on Voldemort to act on this one last hope. Quote, it's your one last chance. It's all you've got left. I have seen what you'll become otherwise. Be a man. Try for some remorse. It's our choices that make us who we are. Be sure to follow our podcast for more Harry Potter content. Did you know that Voldemort never personally tried to kill Dumbledore because he was afraid? What was he so afraid of? Voldemort, despite his immense power and supposed immortality, held a fear of Dumbledore that stemmed from their very first encounter. As a young Tom Riddle, he was corrected and disciplined by Dumbledore, the only person who actually saw through his charm and manipulative nature. This early interaction planted a seed of doubt in Voldemort's mind. He could deceive everyone else but not Dumbledore, which really gnawed away at his confidence. Even as he grew more powerful and created Horcruxes to ensure his immortality, Voldemort couldn't shake off the uneasiness that Dumbledore had instilled in him. Their duel in the Ministry of Magic only heightened this fear. Dumbledore's calm and skillful handling of the battle revealed Voldemort's limitations. Voldemort realized that Dumbledore, with his unmatched experience and power, posed a significant threat. This fear was the real reason that Voldemort never confronted Dumbledore head-on. He assigned the task to others, like Draco Malfoy, as a strategic move to avoid facing his own insecurities. In the end, it wasn't just power that kept Voldemort from attacking Dumbledore directly, it was a profound fear and doubt that he could never conquer. Why didn't Lord Voldemort use the Fidelius charm to hide his Horcruxes? The Fidelius charm was a powerful spell used to hide items, places, or conceal some secret. It was a complex charm that could be used to conceal a secret inside an individual's soul. So theoretically, it's possible for Voldemort to hide some or all of his Horcruxes in a particular location, cast the Fidelius charm, and make himself the secret keeper, which would indeed protect the Horcruxes better than anything else. So why didn't he do that? The main reason is that Voldemort is extremely arrogant and believed that he was experimenting in the dark arts in ways that no other witch or wizard could ever imagine, and he arrogantly believed his own magical protections would be more than sufficient. Even if a Horcrux were to be found, they're extremely difficult to destroy. Furthermore, Voldemort wanted to hide his Horcruxes in various locations with privileged individuals. Perhaps that would have been too many secrets. And lastly, it might not have been possible for Voldemort to cast the Fidelius charm and make himself the secret keeper, because his soul was already split and torn to pieces. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. What effect would the Dementor's kiss have on Voldemort prior to the destruction of his Horcruxes? Essentially, Dementors would suck out 1/7 of Voldemort's soul. The other bits of his soul are safely stashed away in Horcruxes. Victims of the Dementor's kiss were left in what Muggles would call a persistent vegetative state, empty shells that were still alive but irretrievably gone. Essentially, the bit of Voldemort's soul consumed by the Dementor is useless, but the other portions of his soul could be used to reanimate his former body, or perhaps possess another witch or wizard similar to how Tom Riddle was possessing Ginny Weasley. Not only was Voldemort's spirit able to control Ginny, but he was able to gain strength and form from her. Voldemort's physical body would remain an empty shell, unless a dark witch or wizard intervened. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Can two Voldemorts exist at the same time? During the Chamber of Secrets, we see a much younger version of Voldemort. We see Tom Riddle Jr., and according to him, he's able to leave the pages of his old diary because he's feeding off of the life force of Ginny Weasley. Meanwhile, somewhere in Albania, Voldemort's present-day spirit is roaming a dark enchanted forest, waiting on someone like Wormtail to show up. Now back to Tom Riddle Jr., who says, quote, "Yes, Potter, the process is nearly complete. In a few minutes, Ginny Weasley will be dead, and I will cease to be a memory. Lord Voldemort will return, very much alive." So theoretically, if Ginny Weasley dies, then Tom Riddle Jr. would have taken on physical form. What then happens to the spirit in Albania? The Master Soul. This is the portion of soul that the other Horcruxes are tethering to life. It contains all of Voldemort's memories and experience. Would it be drawn to the diary? Would the two then merge? Dumbledore does note that the diary seems slightly different. It was both a weapon and a safeguard. Do the other Horcruxes have the same ability to possess and reanimate? What do you think? Be sure to to follow for more Harry Potter content.
How did Dumbledore block Voldemort's Avada Kedavra? During the Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore and Voldemort have an epic duel. Dumbledore avoids several killing curses and even saves Harry Potter from one. Before Voldemort realizes that Dumbledore has arrived, Dumbledore uses his magic to animate a golden statue which jumps in between Harry and Voldemort to save the former from the killing curse. Voldemort is shocked to see Dumbledore there. Now Voldemort begins his duel with the Hogwarts headmaster. When facing the first of Voldemort's killing curses, Dumbledore is able to avoid it by disapparating. The second time the killing curse is used, Voldemort misses completely. The third and final killing curse attempt is blocked when Dumbledore animates another statue, a one-armed centaur, to move between him and Voldemort. Throughout the series, the Avada Kedavra curses build up so much, which is why it's so cool to see Dumbledore face that curse and its caster with such ease. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content.
Did Voldemort intend to make the Sword of Gryffindor his 6th Horcrux? Part 1. On the night that Voldemort went to kill Harry Potter, he had only made 5 Horcruxes. He wanted to make that 6th Horcrux, which would mean his soul had been split 7 different ways. But after killing Harry Potter, which object was he going to store his soul into? Well, if he were successful in this attempt, he would have just killed the prophesied chosen one. Both Lily and James are well-known Gryffindors, and Voldemort liked to collect trophies and he preferred objects with a powerful magical history. The only problem here is that to get the sword, he would have to go through Albus Dumbledore, the man he feared most. Or did he? Follow for part 2. Did Voldemort intend to make the Sword of Gryffindor his 6th Horcrux? Part 2. As previously discussed, Voldemort had made 5 Horcruxes by the time of his attack on the Potters. Dumbledore believes that Voldemort was planning on making his 6th Horcrux after he killed little Harry. But if Voldemort was also planning on his 6th and final Horcrux being the Sword of Gryffindor, then he knew he'd either have to face Dumbledore or he'd have to find a way to sneak the sword away from Hogwarts. With that information in mind, it's possible he might have to fight Dumbledore. Maybe he was arrogant enough to think that he could actually duel Dumbledore and win. Technically, he does have 5 bits of himself stored for backup. To kill Dumbledore after Harry Potter and then make the Sword of Gryffindor his 6th and final Horcrux sounds like something Voldemort might dream about at night. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. What caused Tom Riddle's transformation into the snake-like Voldemort that we know today? We all know that Tom created Horcruxes to achieve immortality, but what most people don't realize is the horrific toll that it took on his appearance. Each time that he split his soul, it didn't just affect his mind, it corrupted his body. His skin grew pale, his nose flattened, his hair vanished, and his once human features took on an eerie serpent-like appearance. But why? There's a deeper, almost divine reason behind this transformation. Tom's violation of nature and moral law through both murder and soul splitting stripped him of his humanity. His serpent-like appearance represents the serpent that tempted Adam and Eve, symbolizing his complete fall from grace. By the time that we see Voldemort at the end of Goblet of Fire, he has reached his point of no return. By destroying his soul, Tom Riddle not only defied magic, but faced a punishment far worse. He became a living representation of evil. His physical changes were just the manifestation of the evil that had consumed him, and thus nature marked him as a warning to all others. How is Severus Snape not raising Voldemort's suspicion while simultaneously employing occlumency? When Severus Snape reports back to the Dark Lord, he's clearly having his mind read. Did he ditch all of his vital memories into the Hogwarts Pensive? If so, then what if he missed something? Or is it possible that Severus Snape is just that good at employing occlumency? Is he able to let the Dark Lord read his mind while simultaneously hiding important details about Dumbledore's plan? Snape actually seems to be the only Death Eater that Voldemort ever had a scrap of respect for. You don't gain Lord Voldemort's esteem by being incompetent or stupid. Snape clearly earned his spot as Voldemort's most revered servant by making himself valuable to the Dark Lord. He continually proved himself to Voldemort by not lying to him. Snape knew that Voldemort's skill in legitimacy would immediately spot any lie that Snape told. So Snape only told the truth. Dumbledore helped protect Severus by keeping him in the dark as much as possible. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Is Voldemort's spirit still tethered to the land of the living? During his final duel with Harry Potter, Voldemort's physical body is not destroyed, but in the movies, his physical body is destroyed. So why does that matter? The killing curse is designed to take the soul beyond the veil and leave the physical body behind. When Voldemort attacked baby Harry, his killing curse rebounded and destroyed his body, because his soul was still tethered to the land of the living through his previously created Horcruxes. So the curse backfires and destroys the body, but the spirit lingers on. So the movies actually suggest that Voldemort had another Horcrux, or something that caused his physical body to be destroyed, rather than just taking his soul to the land of the dead. What do you think? Leave me a comment and follow for more Harry Potter content. Why didn't Dumbledore just give Harry Potter the Sword of Gryffindor in secret? By giving the sword to Harry in his last will and testament, Dumbledore draws a lot of attention to the sword from both the Ministry of Magic and Voldemort simultaneously, but he has his reasons. Dumbledore knows that the sword can destroy Horcruxes. He also knows that Lord Voldemort has a fascination with important Hogwarts heirlooms. Prior to his death, Dumbledore either acquires or creates a fake sword, and hides the real sword behind his own portrait in the headmaster's office. Dumbledore assumes that if the fake sword is in jeopardy of being stolen by Harry Potter or his friends, then Voldemort will relocate that fake sword to a secret hiding place, most likely to a hiding place where he also keeps one or more of his Horcruxes. Snape would then be able to secretly inform Harry Potter about one of Voldemort's secret hideaways. Of course, it doesn't go down exactly like that, but still a genius move on Dumbledore's part. Dumbledore correctly assumes that an artifact of this value would be hidden in the same place that Voldemort might hide one or more of his Horcruxes.
In what order did Lord Voldemort create his Horcruxes? Number 1, Marvolo Gaunt's ring. Tom Riddle, in the summer of his 16th year, tracks down and kills Tom Riddle Sr., steals the ring from his uncle, and frames his uncle for the murder of the Riddle family. Number 2, Tom Riddle's diary. Tom Riddle opens the Chamber of Secrets and kills Moaning Myrtle and preserves his 16-year-old self in the diary. Number 3, Helga Hufflepuff's cup. Tom Riddle was working for Borgin and Burkes when he meets Hepzibah Smith and charms her into showing him Helga Hufflepuff's cup and Salazar Slytherin's locket. He kills Hepzibah and uses that killing to turn the cup into his third Horcrux. Number 4, Salazar Slytherin's locket. Over the next year, Tom Riddle kills a Muggle and stores another portion of his soul into the locket. Number 5, the lost diadem of Ravenclaw. Voldemort retrieves the diadem from its hidden location. He kills an Albanian peasant and stores a bit of his soul into the diadem before he reapplies for the defense against the Dark Arts position. Number 6, Harry Potter. Once Voldemort's body was destroyed at Godric's Hollow, a bit of his unstable soul split off and linked itself to the only living person in the room, Harry Potter. Number 7, Nagini. Voldemort used this vicious snake and the killing of Bertha Jorkins to create his final Horcrux.
Did Voldemort intend to make the Cloak of Invisibility his 6th Horcrux? On the night that Voldemort went to kill Harry Potter, he had only made 5 Horcruxes. He wanted to make a 6th Horcrux, which would mean that his soul had been split 7 different ways. But after killing Harry Potter, which object was Voldemort going to store his soul into? We already know that Peter Pettigrew gave up the secret location of the Potters. What other information might he have given up? Peter was one of the 4 Marauders. They used James' invisibility cloak to help them in their creation of the Marauders map. Peter might have also noticed or overheard that Professor Dumbledore was keenly interested in that very cloak. If Dumbledore is showing an interest, then it's clearly something meaningful, which Peter might have passed on to Voldemort. We know that Voldemort liked to collect trophies, and he preferred objects with a powerful magical history. It's also stated in the Half-Blood Prince that Horcruxes could be anywhere in the world, hidden, buried, or invisible. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Have you ever noticed that Voldemort killed the only portion of his soul that was redeemable? The part of Voldemort's soul that Harry and Dumbledore see at King's Cross is the part of Riddle's soul that existed within Harry. Why is this portion of his soul so significant? In the Chamber of Secrets, Harry recalls his oldest friend. Quote, the name T.M. Riddle. It still seemed to mean something to him, almost as though Riddle was a friend he had had when he was very small, and had half forgotten. While at King's Cross, Harry describes this bit of soul as a, quote, small naked child, curled on the ground. It lay shuddering under a seat where it had been left, unwanted, stuffed out of sight. This remaining bit is the aspect of Voldemort's soul that he detested and neglected most. In his mind, it was a weakness, yet it was also the thing keeping Voldemort human. Hagrid states, quote, some say he died. Codswallop, in my opinion. Don't know if he had enough human left in him to die. We know that Voldemort became something less than human. The portion of his soul that kept him alive or kept him redeemable had fled from him and attached itself to Harry Potter, the boy who lived. Did Nagini make an unbreakable vow with Voldemort to protect her son? In the Fantastic Beasts series, it is very clear that Aurelius Dumbledore had a romantic relationship with Nagini. At the end of the Crimes of Grindelwald movie, he rejected her to join Grindelwald. As the series continues, we've almost forgotten Nagini and the fact that she had this romantic relationship. Is it possible that she might be carrying Aurelius Dumbledore's unborn child? Yes. If so, then there's a major problem. Nagini is a maledictus, and at some point will be forever trapped in the body of a snake. With Aurelius dead and gone, who will be there to protect the child when she can no longer transform back into a human? After her rejection by the Dumbledores, she's not likely to seek them out for help. Instead, she might try to seek out Aurelius's mother or his mother's family. In doing so, she will find that Aurelius's mother was actually a member of House Gaunt. By the time her blood curse is taking full effect, one of the last remaining members of House Gaunt is none other than Tom Riddle. Did she make a deal with the devil to protect her son? Why else would she be so loyal to Lord Voldemort? Did Dumbledore know that Voldemort would kill Snape to get the Elder Wand? Dumbledore definitely understood that one day Voldemort might come seeking the Elder Wand. He knew that Voldemort's wand had just been recently defeated by Harry's own wand, and that Voldemort himself would be looking for a way to circumvent that protection. Dumbledore's plan was to be the last true master of the Elder Wand. He prearranges his death with Snape so that he remains unbeaten, but surely Dumbledore would have warned Snape that Voldemort might one day go looking for the last true master of the Elder Wand. Voldemort doesn't know that this is a prearranged death. He believes that Severus killed Dumbledore because he's a loyal Death Eater. So why didn't Dumbledore tell Snape that he was actually killing the master of the Elder Wand and putting a very large target on his own back? Maybe Dumbledore wasn't sure that this would work as he intended. Could you imagine if Severus Snape was the true master of the Elder Wand and he knew it? He might have outright dueled the Dark Lord for killing Lily Evans. Yet Dumbledore's plans do depend on Snape. He intended Snape to be alive to pass on crucial information to Harry at exactly the right time. So yes, Dumbledore does know that he's putting a target on Snape, and no, he doesn't give him a heads up. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. What happened to Voldemort's wand after he was destroyed at Godric's Hollow? In the Goblet of Fire, Voldemort has the same wand that he bought at Ollivander's, the same wand that he used to kill James and Lily Potter. There's no explanation provided in any of the books on this matter. The wand fell from Voldemort's hand in Godric's Hollow when his body was destroyed. He obviously wouldn't have been able to carry it with him at this time. How did the Ministry not find it? Did Dumbledore ever investigate the scene? Voldemort's soul still had enough strength to possess Professor Quirrell and other small creatures, so maybe he had enough power to hide his wand from others. During a Q&A session, J.K. Rowling said that Wormtail went to Godric's Hollow and got the wand and took it to Lord Voldemort in order to win his favor. So does that mean that the wand lay hidden in Harry's bedroom for 12 years? Hagrid, Snape, Sirius, Dumbledore, and Ministry of Magic officials all visited the Potter's home after Voldemort was destroyed. Maybe Voldemort had his wand enchanted in the event that he was disarmed. What do you think? Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Did Dumbledore intend for Harry to face Quirrell during his first year at Hogwarts? The Sorcerer's Stone has protections that seem too perfectly designed for the trio to pass in their first year. Moreover, they're designed in such a way that only one person at a time can reach the Mirror of Erised, which would keep a potential Ron or Hermione out of harm's way. The final protection only has enough potion for one person to drink and move forward. Dumbledore clearly has set up a training course for Harry and his friends to accelerate their magical skills and grow their confidence. He knew that one day they would face down the Dark Lord, possibly on their own. Quote, "I knew not whether it would be 10, 20, or 50 years before he returned. I was sure he would do so, and I was sure too that he would not rest until he killed Harry Potter." Dumbledore knows that Harry is not really in danger, and that the stone itself wasn't in any danger from Quirrell. At the end of the book, Harry himself even suggests that Dumbledore set this entire thing up. Quote, "He's a funny man, Dumbledore. I think he sort of wanted to give me a chance. I reckon he had a pretty good idea we were going to try, and instead of stopping us, he taught us enough to help. I don't think it was an accident that he let me find out how the mirror worked. It's almost like he thought I had the right to face Voldemort if I could." How did Peter Pettigrew find out that Voldemort was in Albania? During The Prisoner of Azkaban, Scabrous is exposed as Peter Pettigrew, and with no one else to turn to, Peter starts to seek out the Dark Lord. Quote, "He sought me in the country where it had been long rumored that I was hiding, helped of course by the rats that he met along the way. His filthy little friends told him that there was a place deep in the Albanian forest that they avoided, where small creatures like themselves had met their deaths by a dark shadow that possessed them. Wormtail would go on to use dark magic to help Lord Voldemort regain his physical form." Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content. Did Voldemort ever suspect that Snape was truly on Dumbledore's side and not on his side? After his return, Lord Voldemort summoned his Death Eaters to the graveyard. Snape didn't respond to this summons immediately. Essentially, he didn't want to blow his cover by rushing off to meet the newly resurrected Dark Lord. He convinces Voldemort that he's in the perfect position to spy on Dumbledore and strike when necessary. But as we know, Voldemort is not naive. He didn't fully trust anyone. Draco's mission in the Half-Blood Prince wasn't just a punishment for the Malfoys. It was a test for Severus Snape. He couldn't fathom the idea of Dumbledore dying willingly. Thus, he never expected Draco to actually succeed in this mission. Voldemort knew what motivated people. He knew the effect this would have on Narcissa, and he knew that this would put Severus Snape in a precarious position. The moment that he found out that Snape did kill Dumbledore is the same moment that his suspicions melted away. In Voldemort's mind, Severus had just solidified himself as one of the Dark Lord's most faithful servants, whereas Severus was doing everything he could to maintain his role as a double agent and help Lily Evans' son defeat Voldemort. He definitely played his part well. He deceived one of the greatest Dark Lords of all time. Be sure to follow for more Harry Potter content.